Howdy there, folks. It's episode 22 of Bonfire Man.
Here's how Bonfire Man works. I'm locked to specific chunks in the game. I have to interact with everything in my unlocked chunks exactly once. So that means every tree needs to be chopped, every enemy needs to die, every resource needs to be consumed. When I interact with something, it is exhausted. When something is exhausted, that means I'm not allowed to interact with it again. I'm allowed to randomly unlock a new chunk whenever all of the entities in my current chunks have been so exhausted. When I enter a new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, as in the Souls games. Resting at a bonfire refreshes or unexhausts all of the content in previous chunks that I've already been to. Now I have to exhaust all entities in both the old and new chunks to continue to progress. My objective is to unlock every chunk in RuneScape. According to my estimates, I think that's going to take about 10,000 hours to complete. If you're interested in all the specifics, minutiae, minor rules, exceptions, that kind of a thing, there's a Google Doc in the description that lists all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the playthrough.
Okay, so we have a somewhat exciting unlock this time, the Soul Wars lobby. I'm not going to be able to skip lighting the bonfire, so this is going to be a whole cycle. If you heard the end of the last episode, I determined that my requirement is to get at least 60 zeal. So the instant I get 60 or more zeal from Soul Wars, even though that requires multiple games, I'm done with Soul Wars for that cycle and can't touch it again until the next cycle. I've also modified Last Man Standing for 7+ points per cycle, although I can't do that until I get more quest points or total levels. But I'm going to go ahead and head to the Soul Wars lobby and take a look around. Unlocking this chunk also provides a fairly nice shortcut to Edgeville into the Ferox Enclave, because I can use the Skull Scepter to get up to Barbarian Village, and then I can use this portal to effectively go back and forth between Edgeville and Ferox. Also, once I start making some Rings of Dueling, I can use those to go to Ferox, and then use the Soul Wars portal to pop out to Edgeville. I did that quite a bit on my group Iron Man. But I'm going to need to get a better source of gold to make a decent number of dueling rings, and I'm probably going to wait to do that until I have the second half of Ferox unlocked, where I can use the pool. Alright, so I guess the fog wall triggered as I walk through the portal. Now, as far as lighting the bonfire, I can't light one here, but I did some testing on my main account, and it is possible to light a bonfire in this chunk, so I'm going to go do that. Go ahead and update that the chunk is unlocked, because it is. Alright, and then light a bonfire? There we go. Bonfire lit. Fantastic. Okay. And now let's rest at it. Beautiful. Everything's respawned out in the world. Okay, so here is the deal. Let's take a look at the actual Soul Wars lobby chunk. There are 6 moss giants over here that I'm going to go ahead and kill, and I can chop some of these trees, but not all of these trees, because there's some trees on the edges here that I can't get to, and that's part of the reason why I can't clear this chunk on this cycle, because I can't get to the trees on the edges until we roll the adjacent chunks.
Okay, folks, so this is the 30th chunk, which means it's starting to get really unwieldy for y'all as viewers to keep track of what the hell is going on. So I've decided to start including a summary of what the hell is going on. We'll do this after the bonfire is lit every episode. I'll put a time code in the description if you want to skip it. I'm probably going to spend the most time on it this episode because it's a new concept. Starting next episode, I'll just kind of summarize what changed from the previous episode. So to start with, here is a nice, beautiful animation of the chunks in the order that we've unlocked them. So as you can see, we've unlocked about 6% of all the chunks in the game at time of recording. That probably sounds horrifying, and it is horrifying. However, there's a lot of systems in my rule set that allow this to be reasonable. The first rule is that once I hit 99 in a skill, all of the nodes associated with that skill are permanently optional. I don't have to chop regular trees anymore once I hit 99 woodcutting. The more relevant rule right now is the concept of 100% completed chunks. So these are the chunks that I've already 100% completed. And by 100% completed, I mean that I've done each of the exhaustible tasks in that chunk at least once, along with all of the quests and stashes. The big benefit for 100% completing a chunk is that chunk becomes optional on all future cycles. I'm still allowed to exhaust the things in those chunks, but it's up to me if I want to. The second benefit is that certain skill nodes take longer to exhaust in 100% completed chunks. So for example, you can fish until the fishing node moves, you can chop a tree until it turns into a stump, instead of only being able to interact with it one time. I went into all of the specifics around this in excessive detail back in episode 18. If you want to click back to that and watch the Tedious Marstead Ramble, is about 20 minutes of info about how each skill works in each of these chunks. Here I just want to tell you what are the benefits of me having these green chunks here on the right. First benefit is rare trees, oaks, willows, and yews. There's a handful of each of those in these green chunks, and instead of only being able to chop each of those trees one time, I can chop them until they deplete. Trees are about a 1 in 8 chance to deplete, so this about increases the number of rare logs I can get from these chunks by a factor of 8. Second thing is the Rune Essence mine. It's a subsurface chunk, but I've 100% completed it, and that means that I can mine all 4 of the pillars up to 28 pure essence each, so I get 28 times 4 pure essence per cycle now. Third is a rule that I established back in that skill ramble in episode 18, but I haven't yet established it at this point in the playthrough. I'm speaking here as future Marstead. And that's the men, women, and farmers in each of these chunks. According to my new ruling on thieving, I can pickpocket each of these guys 28 times each, which sounds like a lot, but I assure you with the amount of thieving XP you get per node, it's actually still quite terrible. I don't realize how dire the thieving situation is for still several more episodes, so you're only going to see me pickpocketing each of these nodes once right now, but a few episodes down the line I'm going to make this ruling and I'll start actually taking advantage of it. And the last item here is actually the result of a small mistake that I made. I marked the Lumbridge Swamp East chunk as 100% complete prematurely. You can see it's actually not green here on my map, but in the past I mismarked it as complete because I didn't know about being able to fish with a fishing rod on the net nodes. So because I believe the chunk to be complete, that meant that I was allowed to deplete the shooting star that can land in that chunk, and I allowed myself to deplete the fishing nodes there, which was to fish them until they moved. So you're going to see me benefiting from this in several more episodes, but eventually I fix it, and the way I fix it is by skipping the fishing nodes and the shooting star for a while. Alright, so those are the 100% completed chunks. Let's talk about the chunks that are not 100% completed and what is blocking me from 100% completing them. This is really why I want to do this summary, to give you a sense of what the long-term objectives are, what the breakpoints are, what the big unlocks that we're looking forward to are. So first off, we have chunks that are blocked by quests. A quest starts in this chunk, and because I haven't been able to complete that quest yet, I'm unable to finish the chunk. So I'm going to talk about each of these blue chunks in ascending order of difficulty. We will start with the easiest chunk, and that is Ferox Enclave. I can't 100% complete Ferox Enclave because I can't do Last Man Standing. I can't do Last Man Standing until I have 30 quest points. Now, technically I could also do Last Man Standing by getting to 1500 total level, and occasionally we're going to have situations where a chunk is blocked by multiple things at the same time. I'm going to be picking whatever the most significant blocker is. In this case, it's going to be way more easy for me to get 30 quest points than it is for me to get 1500 total levels, so we're going to say that this is a quest-blocked chunk. Next quest-blocked chunk is North Al-Kharid. I need to do Temple of the Eye, which requires the Enter the Abyss mini-quest. Next up is the Ham Hideout chunk. This one is blocked by Lost City. I'm going to need to get access to Entrana to be able to do that one. After that, the Varrock East Mine chunk is blocked by What Lies Below. You could argue that I'm blocked by a quest, a skill, and an item here, because I need to get to 35 Runecraft to start the quest, I need to have other chunks unlocked to progress the quest, and I need to have a Chaos Talisman to finish the quest. So those are the quests that are all somewhat reasonable to complete. Let's talk about the ones that are way less reasonable. I need to do Family Crest, Shadow of the Storm, and Temple of Ikov to do these chunks. Probably not happening. Sadly, I need Bone Voyage to do Varrock Square. That's going to take a really long time. And then lastly, Rag and Bone Man 2, Dragon Slayer, and Recipe for Disaster are not happening anytime soon. They just require tons and tons of chunks all over the game world. Right, so those are the chunks that are blocked by quests. Let's look at chunks that are blocked by skills. A lot of these are also blocked by quests, but the skill block is the bigger deal. Both Varrock Palace and South Draenor are blocked by there being a master stash there that I'm not going to be building. Maybe one day, but it's like 88 construction or something. South Varrock is blocked by thieving. I need to get to 40 thieving to pickpocket the guards there. And then the Lumbridge Swamp West and Al-Kharid Mines are both blocked by adamantite ore. Next up is items. These chunks are blocked by items. I can't finish the Barbarian Village chunk because I don't have a fly fishing rod. I can't finish Lumbridge Swamp East because I don't have a regular fishing rod. And West Varrock is blocked by a few things. I need to be able to pickpocket guards, for instance, but no amount of thieving XP is going to get me out of this chunk because I still need to do the Gertrude's Cat quest. I haven't marked this as a quest chunk because I can do Gertrude's Cat, I just don't have any sardines, and I need a regular fishing rod to get a sardine to finish that quest. So again, a lot of overlap on these sometimes. I'm just going to mark it as whatever the most relevant blocker is. And then last of all, we have chunk unlocks. These are chunks where we can't complete the chunk because we can't get to things without having more adjacent chunks unlocked. Draenor Manor, we can only get to the perimeter on the outside of the manor. We can't get inside. When we get inside, I'm going to be blocked by Ernest the Chicken and Animal Magnetism. But beside the point if I can't get in the manor. And the Soul Wars lobby chunk we unlocked can't be completed because there's a bunch of trees we can't reach without unlocking all of the adjacent chunks. So I hope that summary helps you keep track of what's going on. This will be quite a bit shorter in future episodes since I'm just going to talk about what changed from the previous episode instead of going over everything every time. Okay, let's get to the playthrough.
So I'm going to go ahead and start out by... Oh, there's already a moss giant killing me. There it is. Hit points 59. All right, those kills are done. Got a steel kite shield, which is pretty good for Giant's Foundry. I'm going to work on chopping trees now, and then we'll go ahead and check out Soul Wars. I'm actually going to hop to the Soul Wars world really quick because I was noticing when I was practicing it on my main account that sometimes it takes forever to start. I think I have to talk to Nomad. I don't know if it's going to let me skip the tutorial. Oh, looks like I have to do the tutorial. Yeah, I'll just do that now so I can quickly join a game if I have to while I'm chopping wood. I do appreciate that they do these tutorials now. I wish they had these for more mini-games. It's helped the mini-game to make a little bit more sense to me. Giant's Foundry did a good job of that too. You'll notice here that I'm in this instance. Even though it shows me in the Soul Wars arena, I'm not actually in that unlocked chunk, so I don't know that those chunks will actually ever unlock. I guess we can get into the little bottom corners to chop some of the trees there, but I don't think any of them have content in them that would require me to light a bonfire there anyway. Very sadly, all of my stats actually matter here. I was hoping that the game was going to be nice and like boost me to 99 or whatever like it does with Last Man Standing, but nope. So I'm just going to have to try to stay alive as long as possible to get as much zeal as I can. Alright, looks like there's a game starting, so I'm going to try to join it. So I don't have to wait forever later. God, my gear is terrible. I'm going to get my ass kicked, aren't I? Maybe try to bandage other players? Ooh, I don't know what the best strategy is here. I'm apparently easy pickings because of my armor. Makes sense. Okay, I got 17 zeal, which ain't great. Gotta do a lot of games to get to 60 plus, but I think setting it to need to get 60 per cycle is completely reasonable, like how we need to get 7 plus in Last Man Standing. Every other minigame, you can get a point where you're very, very stable as to how many points you're getting per cycle, but these PvP ones, it's all over the place. Well, shit, that second game went way better. I got 54 zeal. So now I've exceeded 60, so I cannot do any more Soul Wars for this cycle, I think is going to be my rule. It's going to be hard to save this for the Ectoplasmator. I guess maybe I shouldn't save for the Ectoplasmator because the amount of additional prayer XP it's going to grant me is not necessarily as good as the potential drops from the Spoils of War. Let me go chop those trees while I think about whether I'm going to dump it, yeah. The only thing that I can use the Ectoplasmator on, there's the ghosts in the Edgeville Dungeon, the ghosts in Stronghold of Security, which are a huge pain in the ass to fight, and the Onkos can technically give prayer XP in the Stronghold of Security. Yeah, I think I should just hold out and get it. It's the only thing I'm going to want to save points for. I don't really care so much about the Soul Wars cape. It is plus 8 prayer, but it doesn't seem like it's worth the hit. I am going to save zeal. It's going to take a few cycles in order for me to be able to unlock the Ectoplasmator, but if I can just have it and just have it with me, since I have to kill everything anyway, I'm going to be killing ghost enemies every single cycle. It'll pay dividends over time. Alright, so sadly, these are the only trees I can actually access to chop. It's exactly 27? The other ones you can see over here on the edge I can't get to, so this is everything being chopped. I'm going to go ahead and add a task. I'm going to use that same symbol I did for this guy for the dead trees in Draenor Manor. We're just going to say 27 regular trees until I'm able to actually do the whole chunk. I can get straight to Ferox Enclave, so I'm going to go ahead and kill those mammoths next. I got another longbone. That's pretty cool. I'm actually going to go deposit that really quick in case I get killed out here. Just got an acorn to drop from one of these mammoths. That's the hype drop from them, I think. I'm still not going to do any farming until I get a Secators, either from getting one from a shop or from getting a drop from farmers. I think I'm probably over the drop rate on farmers right now. Maybe not. I think it's a 1 in 128. We only killed 88 across all cycles, which sounds like not very much. It is so tough for me to start recording again when I'm also trying to flick prayers here. Defense 48. I'm going to switch off defense back to strength now until we get another max hit plus 3 levels. So I'm probably going to be on strength for an extremely long time now. Okay, finished killing the mammoths. Got a decent number of hammerstone and Crandorian seeds with that acorn. Pretty good. I should start farming again soon. Just kind of waiting until it matters. Or I have something on the horizon that might matter. Because it's a lot of extra attention to try to focus on. Okay, so today is Tuesday, and the weekly patch is tomorrow. So I don't want to do anything that's going to get wiped out, unless if I'm completing a chunk entirely like I did with the Soul Wars lobby in the East Firax Enclave. I might try to do wood cutting and mining, get the mining out of the way first, so I can give you an XP summary before the XP tracker gets wiped out here. It's at mining 44. I've got some of the shooting stars available here. I'm just going to see if any of them happen to land. I'm trying to monitor it while I do other things. Well, there's one here. First person to find it. 50. Okay, I'm going to try to get people to come here to mine it down. Might end up calling too many people here, honestly. I guess I could try bringing my main to mine it down to 40 next time. This may have been a mistake calling the entire CC over here. I'm just going to wait for them to mine it down to level 4, I guess. Okay, yeah, so in the future, I think I need to, instead of calling this out, I need to just mine it myself on my main account until it gets down to the level that I can mine it. Because this is going down really fast. I'm not going to get anywhere near as much mining XP this cycle. I'm going to give it a try here. Now it's 40. All right, so I got to mine the thing like 13 times while it was T4. So yeah, this isn't great if you have other people here and you have a steel pickaxe and you're low mining level. So this is a good cycle for me to learn my lesson. In the future, I'll do my best to be able to solo it. It just, you can kind of visually see the difference. Last cycle, when I was mining it by myself, most of the time I got 703 Stardust. I've got 56 and it's already almost out. Final count's not too bad. 177. I guess I get a lot more successful mines on a lower level star. But there it goes. Not going to call it out in the future. Still much more mining XP than I would usually get. I got about 10k more last cycle when I mined it mostly myself. So I'll keep that in mind. I just remembered that I'm like 8 XP away from agility level 7, so I'm going to try to deal with the big frogs really quick, or giant frogs. All right, pretty good start there. I failed the first one, succeeded on the second one, so I need 4 more XP. Just need to get a repeat of that. Jumping back across, hey, and I got another 3, so that's agility level 7. That means the next lamp I get should be worth 70 XP, which is about halfway. Yeah, so it's only taking me about 2 lamps at a time now, give or take a few XP from this place, which is quite nice. Another success on the way out, another 3 XP. Gonna go ahead and finish off the big frogs with ranged. I'll come back here later with melee. Level 47 ranged. I'm about to have to sign off until the update tomorrow, so I'll summarize my XP gains here soon. Alright, just got my last big frog kill, just heading to the Drainer Bank to sign off here. Here's my XP count. This is the main thing that's going to get wiped out. 10k woodcutting XP, 7k defense XP, which I've swapped off of now. I'm going to try to focus on ranged. It's annoying to do ranged because I have to pick up the ammo. I might even try to burn through all of my bronze crossbow bolts because I don't think I'm going to use them for like actual PVM. Try to use those on weak enemies like goblins just to extract the ranged XP from them, you know? The objective is 55 range before we switch back to strength formally. I will still use strength for anything that's high level, you know? So I'll use the bow on goblins and cows and chickens and stuff, but we'll use a adamant sword on anything nastier than that, like the Stronghold of Security. The rest of these XP totals are going to get wiped. I guess the important one is probably XP or agility, because 2 lamps or 1 book and 1 lamp would get us to 8. We're getting closer to 10. That's making rolling North Draenor really important. I hope we get it before hitting 10 agility, or I'm going to be a sad boy. Hey, I'm back. It's post-update. Getting back to work. Keep working on chopping trees here. You'll notice I have a clean Irrit leaf in my inventory. So this is from Sorceress's Garden. I actually have 1 more of these in my bank. The reason I have this, I've been thinking, after hitting agility level 7, I would actually be able to use an agility potion to complete the Draenor agility course if I were to roll that chunk soon. And I can get one of those from the Dr. Jekyll random event if I have a clean Irit. And fortunately, Sorceress's Garden does give clean herbs. So I'm going to keep this in my inventory. It's going to be annoying. It's going to drop my inventory slots by one, but it would be really cool to get one. I actually have another one in my bank. So I could get a total of 2 potions. I did the math on it. It looks like the +3 boost will last just long enough for me to do 1 lap of that course. And this is all dependent on me rolling that chunk, which might not happen, but if I can get an extra 120 or so XP per cycle for agility, that would be pretty incredible. I'm fletching 48. Red topaz tip steel bolts. Okay. Wow, that's insanely lucky. I immediately got a Dr. Jekyll random. Like, it was the very first random event I got there after setting the Irid aside of my inventory. So I now have this Agility Potion 4, which I could arguably save for Taibo and Trio, but I'm not going to get that chunk for a really long time, I don't think. So I'm definitely going to end up using that to boost for an agility course. If it doesn't end up being the Draenor course, because I don't roll that chunk, I will use it for when I get to like 17 agility to do the Alcarid course. So that's quite nice. That represents 4 cycles of agility XP sometime in the future. But geez, talk about lucky. I'm tempted to keep carrying my other Irit leaf with me so I can get a second one. So I think I have thrown out a handful of Reldo hot and cold steps, not realizing or not remembering that one of those steps is actually accessible to me now up here. This is the only one I can get to. There's technically one in Draenor Manor that I can't reach yet. When we unlock this chunk, we're going to get 2 beginner clue steps from Reldo, which is nice. And then there's another one over here, just east of the Alcarid mine. So I'm going to pick it up, see if it happens to be the one that I can get to. So I can very easily determine, thanks to the plugin, whether or not I can toss the clue at least. So can't do it anyway, but now I have this strange device. Wood cutting, 66. Doing pretty well here, chopping away on the used and completed chunks. Alright, just finished all of the wood cutting for the cycle. I'm finished up with the willow logs over there in Groat's farm. We are 6.5 hours into this. It's time to start working on PVM stuff. Alright, so like I mentioned, I'm going to try to do ranged as much as I can here for any enemies that are very low defense. To try to get to 55 ranged is the objective, which is going to probably not happen this cycle, but might happen next cycle. I've got 1,300 bronze bolts to work through. I really don't want to be on the crossbow because it's so much slower than the short bow, but I gotta burn through this ammo. I'm not going to use it otherwise. Before I start doing range, I'm going to try to make a hard leather shield, so I can get it's a really small range attack bonus, but I need 41 crafting to do that. There it is, crafting 41. Let me make this shield real quick. Oof, I apparently specifically need bronze nails, and I burned through almost all of them, so I will make 1 bronze bar to turn into nails. It's kind of a waste of bronze bars. I could still buy... I didn't actually buy out the bronze nails stock at the Varrock Plank shop in the lumberyard. Oh, actually, I didn't think about this, but the lumberyard is a completed chunk, so that shop stock resets every cycle. I think that's my only shop that I have in a completed chunk at the moment. Yeah, let me just do that instead. I need to buy planks for this cycle anyway. All right, making the hard leather shield here. Got the wrong kind of nails. There we go. All right, hard leather shield. Range +2. Sure, that's going to be super worth it. Since I went ahead and got a bunch of planks, I'm going to quickly do some construction training for the cycle, and then we're going to carry on with PVM. I'm going to go ahead and buy, before I do construction training, I'm going to buy the studded body and studded chaps from this shop, because crafting them would use up steel bars that I want to save for Giant Foundry. Pretty sure those are better. Yeah, that's strictly better, and that's strictly better. Fantastic. Looking pretty cool. All right, just got a genie. Happy to see that. Throw that right on agility. 70 agility XP. It's quite nice. 77 to go. Hey folks, I just had a recording mishap. I was hitting pause recording when I meant to start recording and was starting recording when I went to pause. So I had to delete a bunch of nonsense of me just killing goblins all over the place. But the thing I wanted to point out is that I got a clue casket that had a sandwich lady bottom in it. So that's our first ever unique from a clue scroll. Pretty cool stuff. All right, get another beginner casket. This time I didn't screw up the recording. Amazing. 31 coins there for a regular longbow. All right, I'm about to hit 48 ranged here. There it is, 48 ranged. One more level to get a max hit increase with bronze bolts. It really is miserable right now, having to pick up all of the ammo, also just the lower attack speed compared to a short bow, so I might try to tactically switch up whether I'm using a crossbow or a short bow. Like, I do want to use all of my bronze bolts because it's XP, you know, but at the same time, if it takes forever, I don't think it's worth it. So I realized while I was doing my sanity check that I underkilled frogs last cycle. I killed 3 too few regular frogs and 1 too few big frogs. So I'm just going to fix that this time by killing some of the ones in Lumbered Swamp East that I normally would skip. All right, I'm over here in the Stronghold of Security working on kills here. And I got to say, range is terrible on anything that's not the really lowest level enemies like goblins and chickens and frogs. So I might just do that. Goblins, chickens, frogs, cows, cow calves, the really like basic stuff. Anything lower than like level 20. I think a big part of it is just that I have this adamant sword, right? And my weapon is an iron crossbow, so quite a downgrade in terms of accuracy. It's really slowing down everything else. Like it made cows take an extremely long time compared to what it has in past chunks, but I gotta actually level up range in order to make it less terrible, so I gotta stick with it. Yeah, I think my objective, I might only end up getting like 1 range level per cycle, maybe 2 if it works out. But I'll end up using the crossbow for all of that weak shit until I burn through this bronze bolt stack, and then we'll see what we end up on, but I'm not gonna be really going hard on getting to 55 in the meantime. It's too much work. Pretty good flesh crawler run again. 26 iron ore, so 1 in 20 drop to get noted iron ore, so I got a decent number of them. There's 26 to kill, but 3 of them drop nothing. I'm just going to have to keep track of that myself. Time to do catoblepins. These ones are annoying. Working on catoblepins over here. Got a quiz random. Let's see what we got. 500 coins. Okay. Finishing off the Sepulchre of Death zombie. 2 big bones. Okay. Still haven't gotten any of the money drops from that one. I did finish the catoblepins. That was not super amazing. Did get 4 cosmic runes, which is cool, and 2 scepter pieces. Should probably be using this scepter to teleport more often. I think I'm conserving it for no reason, because I think I get plenty of charges for it every cycle. Alright, just finished the Uncos. Not amazing on drops. I mean, blood runes and death runes are good, but they're not super important at the moment for me. I'm mostly interested in law runes, and I guess mithril ore, which I haven't gotten in a couple cycles. I'm going to head to Edgeville Dungeon. Yeah, the Edgeville Dungeon. I'm going to kill the black demons and try to do all of my protect melee flicking tasks at the same time. So a nice thing about having the Soul Wars portal here, I can use this to get to Ferox Enclave, and while I can't use the pool there yet, I can use, there's an altar just east of it. All right, finished up the black demons. No good drops. Hey folks, I'm recovering from a power outage over here, which means I lost everything in the XP tracker, sadly, and also all of my tagged NPCs have been reset. I should be okay, because I think I've been pretty careful about actually finishing chunks and not just doing part of them. 21 Slayer. I don't think I care about Slayer levels for a while, but I'll continue to announce them because I get a very small amount of XP per cycle. I guess Desert Lizards are 22, which I might actually, I'm somewhat close to Desert Lizards. I might roll them, actually. And I can equip a Mirror Shield at 25. But other than that, I don't think I care until Wall Beasts at 35, so got a ways to go there. About to hit 63 strength. I think I need 66 to get a max hit increase, and then 69 to be able to switch back to attack and defense. Okay, about to hit 45 prayer, which I think I said is the last prayer level I care about. Access to Mystic Might. Obviously, I would like Chivalry and Piety, but I think it's going to be hundreds of hours before I get anywhere near the ability to do the quests to unlock them. So I'm going to continue to bury bones. I'm not going to skip on them. It would save me a lot of time to be able to not pick up regular bones anymore because they represent an enormous amount of the total XP we have on this account for prayer. Should do that calculation at some point. I do have the loot logger that shows exactly how many regular bones I've gotten total. So I could give you that calculation at some point. But at least for now, I feel like there's probably going to be a level where it no longer makes sense to keep burying them, because the amount of XP I'm getting versus the amount of XP I need to level up is just not... the time isn't worth it. It'd be faster to get to more chunk rolls to eventually get us to an actual altar that we can use. But I don't think we're there yet. I think I'm going to continue to bury them. Hey, that's exciting. I finally got the Iron Boots drop from Cave Slimes. I think that's my best in slot boots for now. I mean, I think maybe the fighting boots are better, but I lose those whenever I die and have to reclaim them. So I was wrong, actually. They're strictly better than the fighting boots / fancy boots. Not by much. I mean, this isn't going to make the difference between me finishing a Slayer task without dying or not. It's like +1 defense, but it's still cool to get a new best in slot. This is what I'm looking like now on Melee. Usually don't report clues until I'm about to get the casket, but this one's interesting. I haven't gotten it before. It's a emote clue at the Wizard's Tower that requires an Iron Med Helm, an Emerald Ring, and a White Apron. So I'm going to go buy a White Apron for that. I do have the other 2 items. I think I got the Emerald Ring, luckily, from Random Bird Nest. I'll probably also try to build the clue stash for it, because I think I'm a high enough level to do that. And I have a Necklace of Passage to teleport there, so pretty neat stuff. Ooh, I can actually use the second clue step here. That's cool. I might take the opportunity, since I have to warp to Lumbridge anyway, to go ahead and do a construction training trip. So I'm going to get some oak planks here. All right, about to ding 38 construction. Teak dining bench, teak dining table, small map, Slayer monster head, pet list. Unfortunately, everything's going to require teak now. I have no access to teak at the moment, so not a lot I can do about that. There we go, 1590 more construction XP. Let's get out of here. Oh, Jim, got a 3rd step that I can do. Helmet shop in Barbarian Village. Hopefully this is a 3-step easy clue. I think I can go up to 4 steps. So it would be very sad if I can't complete it after this. According to the chunk picker, my chance of completing an easy clue is 4%, so actually being able to do one is kind of a big deal. I actually have to kill some barbarians in the Barbarian Village anyway, so I'll do that while I'm there. Thank goodness, it's a casket. That's our 2nd ever easy casket. Okay, the last one was really bad. Last casket we opened was an air staff, a little bit late, so come on, something big money. Okay. I think the black pickaxe is an upgrade? Holy shit, it is better. That's like the best thing I could possibly get from an easy clue. That's amazing. Yeah, that's my best in slot pickaxe. I don't think there's anything else I could really hope for from easy clues. Maybe some of the gilded stuff, or I guess the Amulet of Power trimmed would be really cool, but wow, that's outstanding. It'd be really good for shooting stars in future cycles. The steel pickaxe is really bad, and this isn't much better, but it's better. Oh, it also reduces the ticks between mining rolls by 1. That's a bigger deal than I thought. I thought it was just like a slightly higher chance to get ore, but if it's affecting the roll ticks, yeah, that changes everything. That's going to make pure essence faster too. Doing my depletable nodes here, just hit fishing 28. Right, here on my last construction trip. My last trip, I can always do almost a full inventory of oak planks if I bring a limestone brick for a whetstone and a rope for a rope pull, or bell pull. So at this point, each cycle I can do almost 3 full inventories-ish of oak planks, which is pretty good. All right, and that is, I've literally built everything that I can build that uses oak planks and doesn't use a bunch of expensive side ingredients. So now if I do any more construction training, it's going to be regular blanks only. I probably have enough law runes per cycle now that I might be able to start using them to actually cast teleport spells, like going to Varrock and the like, but I'm gonna wait until I have like over 100 of them before I allow myself to do that, because I don't want to screw myself on construction training. You know, I'm still doing my depletable fishing nodes in Lumbridge Swamp, and I noticed this armor stand. What I'm curious about is whether I'm allowed to use my damaged armor on that and don't need to build one in my POH. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm guessing it doesn't work. Looks like it does not work for damaged armor. It's worth trying. Back to fishing. Oh, sadness. I was only able to get 1 shrimp from this second to last one I did. Guess that comes with the territory. It's a little bit random here. Fishing 29. About to get a Runecraft level up here. Runecraft 29. 6 to go. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I have to get the amount of XP I've gotten to date again, more or less. I just had an interesting revelation. There are dead trees in the fire altar that I've never noticed before. Hopefully I edited something into an earlier video when I go in there for the first time, commenting on the fact that I completely missed them. I guess I should have been chopping them every cycle until I finally completed the chunk and was able to make fire, steam, smoke, and lava runes at the same time, which I think was last cycle. I've missed out on any woodcutting XP and any logs that came from that, although chopping trees is primarily a hassle for me. I am going to go ahead and chop them now just to say that it's done. I don't think any of the other altars have other content in them, so I'm not too stressed out about missing anything, but it is quite silly. Yep, totally allowed to chop the trees here. Whoops. I don't know how many are here. I guess I'll count my logs when I'm done and let you know. I'm not going to add it to the task list because I'm not going to do it anymore after this cycle. I don't think the chunk picker marks these as objects either. I can report that. I don't know that any other chunk account would ever care about the fact that there are dead trees in the fire altar, but you know, you never know. Maybe somebody 5 years from now is going to attempt an extreme Bonfire Man playthrough. Would you believe that there are 53 dead trees here? A comparable number of dead trees to what are in the Misthalin Mystery quest chunk. And I absolutely should have been doing those all the way back to my 5th chunk unlock. Well, a little bit later than that, because I didn't have a fire talisman the first time I unlocked this chunk. So whenever I first got a fire talisman drop, I technically should have been doing this. I could sit here and chop trees to make up for that. You know, chop 53 times number of chunks trees if I go back and figure out when I first got a fire talisman. But I mean, my argument all along has been that if I miss something on a previous chunk, you know, too bad, it's gone.
Hey folks, it's Future Marstead. I did do a poll about this a few episodes ago, and the comments I received were just let those trees go. It's not that big of a deal, and it would be inconsistent to make up for them by doing extra wood cutting on future cycles. Our rule for Bonfire Man is that if you forget something in a previous cycle, it's too bad, it's gone. In this case, it's a benefit for me because I don't want to chop those trees, but I think I agree with the YouTube comments that it makes sense to leave them behind. In the future, we will occasionally intentionally skip things during cycles to make up for times that we overdid something. We just can't make up for situations where we underdid something.
All right, just hit 33 thieving on literally the last thing that I could steal from in this cycle. I think 5 levels to go until we can do Master Farmers. Farming 22. Cadaver berries. Do I have those seeds? Not yet. Okay. Alrighty, it's the end of the cycle. Last task there is picking up that bucket. We're going to do Giant's Foundry as always. I'm going to try something new with Giant's Foundry. I've been doing all this stuff trying to optimize the bar alloys that I put together, but I'm thinking of just counting up my total bar counts across bronze, iron, steel, and mithril, and just equally dividing them as well as possible and making complicated alloys. I'm going to see how that works out in terms of points and money and smithing XP and compare it to prior cycles, but I think it might be okay.
Hey, it's Future Marstead again. I'm cringing at what I just said. We didn't really understand Giant's Foundry super well at the time that I made that comment that I'm just going to make complicated alloys of like 3 or 4 metals. It turns out that my use case as a Bonfire Man is the weirdest use case possible because every other Giant's Foundry account, if they need more bars, they'll just go mine and smelt more bars, right? But I actually have a limited number per cycle, so it matters in what ratio I use them. So big thanks to Torin in the RuneScape Wiki Discord for helping me figure this out. Unfortunately, I don't learn the optimal way to do this for several more episodes, so I do this completely wrong way of doing it where you just mix all of the bars equally. Don't do that. If you're doing Bonfire Man, do not mix all the bars equally. There is a greater than the sum of its parts element to Giant's Foundry where it ignores any metals that you add beyond the second metal. So if you have a 3 metal alloy, the metal with the lowest quantity gets ignored, right? So it still lets you make the sword, but it doesn't calculate that extra metal into the quality score at all. So this is probably the worst case scenario for me. The metal which I have the least of is mithril. So I'm making these swords that have like 2 mithril bars in them, and the mithril's just allowing me to make a sword. It's not actually contributing to the metal score at all. I think it turns out I don't lose a ton of XP from this, fortunately, because, you know, if I wanted to make a mithril sword, I'd have to save it until I have 14 bars to do anything productive with it. But it is still quite suboptimal over a long period of time. If you're interested, though, the apparently optimal way for me to use the Giant's Foundry is to only ever spend coal on mithril, right? Because there's no reason to spend coal on steel since I can turn iron ore into iron bars. And adamant and rune are both way less quality per coal efficient. So I will almost never make an adamant bar or a rune bar, at least through manual smelting. So it turns out that the optimal way to do Giant's Foundry for me is to make as much mithril as I possibly can, make 14 mithril plus 14 iron swords until I run out of mithril, make iron plus bronze until I run out of iron, and then make close to pure bronze, maybe mixing in a couple extra stray bars here and there until I run out of bars.
We'll see. One thing I've done here is I've moved any items that I'm primarily going to be using in Giant's Foundry over to my ore tab outside of my equipment tab. So it'll be easier for me to count my effective bars per cycle. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how terrible this is. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty bad. 4590 smithing XP, 9180 coins. That's actually... I feel like my standard that I try to aspire to is 5,000 smithing XP, 10,000 coins. So if I can get that 4 times, and it kind of reduces the amount of thinking I have to do, it seems not too bad. I have to find out how dependent that is on having a good mold, though. Yeah, I'm going to buy the Serpent Blade for a narrow flat one. It's also a pretty mild upgrade, but hopefully it just adds up over time is what I'm praying for. All right, sword number 3, what we get? 4470, 8940. Yeah, pretty stable, which makes sense. Light flat sword and smithing 55. Can now make mithril scimitars, so mithril spears is interesting in case I need to poison something. I'll think about that if we like roll a boss chunk or something. All right, so I got 19.4k smithing XP last cycle when I was trying to be a little bit more thoughtful about getting the alloys just right, and it looks like I'm probably going to get an almost identical amount here, which seems to suggest to me that if you are planning to use all of the bars in your bank, that just kind of dividing them equally is fine. Okay, that's the end of the cycle. Time to review. Starting with the task scroll here. Couldn't really do anything at the lava altar, I guess, or the earth altar. I did make mud and lava runes on other altars, though. Didn't get enough air talismans. Okay, that all looks pretty solid. XP is borked because, first of all, there was an update, and second of all, I had a power outage that made me lose the tracker, so this is only as of today's session. But looking pretty good. Stuff to mention, agility, 1 more lamp plus 1 more run at the Lumbered Swamp Cave should get us to 8. This makes me really badly want to unlock North Draenor, because I have an agility potion now, and I could use that to boost to get about 120 agility XP per cycle, which is amazing. It's about the equivalent of getting 2 random events. Not a lot of other nearby thresholds, really. 43 construction is still the one we're going for. I think that's still going to be several cycles away. That will let us make a chapel, finally, and an altar where we could offer bones for some extra XP. Although prayer, like I've said, we don't particularly care about anymore. I am still going to try to get to 55 range, but it looks like we don't get a lot of ranged XP per cycle if I'm only using ranged attacks on the really weak enemies. So that's going to take a while. I'll keep working on strength in the meantime. I think 69 is the current objective. Nice. Close to 60 hit points, but who cares? I'm excited to see how much mining XP we can get next cycle. I'm going to try to really optimize the shooting star as well as I can. So I'm going to scout for it by myself using my main account. I won't be connected to this fella here, Shooting Stars plugin. I guess if I got up super early in the morning, I could try to check for one, but we'll see how long I can sit there and how much I can squeeze out of it. That black pickaxe that I got from the easy clue is going to be amazing for shooting stars. It lets you mine every 5 ticks or roll for an XP drop every 5 ticks instead of every 6 ticks. And when you're at the same node for 2+ hours, that adds up a lot. No real objectives coming up anytime soon for Slayer. I'm not going to finish my Slayer task next cycle. I'll be like 2 hill giants short of it. So unless we roll a cycle or roll a chunk that has more hill giants in it. So not too many other exciting things to look forward to in the immediate future from skills. Let's do the slow scroll through the loot tracker. I think I mentioned that I killed a couple extra frogs and big frogs from Lumbered Swamp East just to make up for missing some last cycle. In that case, those are actual frogs that I have access to kill every single cycle. I just choose to skip them, so it's not like I'm double killing anything. Women. I did under pickpocket women to make up for the over pickpocketing of men I did last cycle. So now those have finally been fixed once and for all. If I look at my man kill count, 622 versus man pickpocket count, 622, and woman pickpocket or kill is 172, and woman pickpocket is 172. So that's all evened out now. And I do check these occasionally to kind of do a sanity check, right? Like we've killed 2,437 goblins to date. Supplies tracker, getting pretty low in terms of how many supplies we're burning every cycle. I'm pleased about this, not having to spend too many of them. I guess this bronze bolts figure is interesting because that's how many I fired, and then we can figure out how many of them I picked back up using the bank comparison, which I'm going to do here in a second. I guess before I do that, let me show you the live split timer. Probably should have paused this a minute ago or so. We'll call it 17:30. So we did pretty well this time. Spent way less time on the shooting star at the end there. That was a big help / hindrance, depending on how you see it, since it got mined away so much faster. Also kind of making some small optimizations in terms of how I go about doing the PDM and the wood cutting, and trying to use teleports as much as possible. Probably saved us a big chunk of time there. I actually burned through, I guess it's not showing it in terms of teleport jewelry here, but I burned through a ton of Rings of Returning. And I wonder if the supplies tracker doesn't even know that Rings of Returning exist because nobody uses them. But I think I used 2 full ones and I crafted another 4, which may have been a mistake because I ended up using up all of my jades. Total time played 11 days, 14 hours. This is getting really slow right now. Doing the bank memory comparison, I'll just do another slow scroll through this. Looks like we're still coming out positive on law runes. That includes the ones I'm already using, so that's always good to see. Falling behind on pure essence because I didn't get enough from PVM drops. I gotta kind of keep an eye on that. Sort of bronze bolts. Did I already pass those? Can I just search for them? Bolts. Yeah, so we're down 150 bronze bolts, so that's... I maybe don't need to focus so much on trying to burn through those bronze bolts for ranged XP. I'll do that if I have like my back against the wall, but in the future I'm going to try to use the short bow instead, because it's so much slower to use the crossbow right now. Means I was able to recover like 80% of my bolts used. Only gained 177 Stardust this time instead of like 700 Stardust, so pretty big difference. Finally, the bank summary. New items: Poison Ivy Seeds, Crandorian Seeds, this Agility Potion is a pretty big deal. Strange Device, I'm probably not going to use this Willow Shield since I made a hard leather shield. Bought a studded body and studded chaps. Got a few more scepter pieces that I'll chisel down into bone fragments. I think I got another scepter piece too that I just put directly onto the staff because I had it with me. But yeah, I should just use this all the time because I have so many fragments, and I'm infinite on this. I'm self-sustaining. I can use this as many times as I like as an effective Edgeville teleport. Fried mushrooms, I think I got from Uncos. Steel spear, iron boots, pretty exciting. Best in slot, probably for a long time for melee. Red elegant skirt and the black pickaxe I can't believe this happened. I'm so excited that it did. It's pretty rare, and for it to come on the second easy clue and we had a 4% chance of completing one is just super spooned. All right, clean stuff up. Let's show you the slow bank scroll here. How did I do on coins, actually? Yeah, still came ahead net, plus 16k coins, including all my blank purchases. Actually, that reminds me, once again, as I'm doing my summary, that I can fit in one more construction trip. The first trip completed. Normal planks are pretty terrible. Really don't get very much XP from it. I'm going to update my bank totals after doing this. I won't review them again. You kind of get the idea. All right, here comes 39 construction. 39 construction. Oak wardrobe, which I think I can actually make. Clay attack stone, gesture game, oak pet scratching post. Cool. All right, and that's it. It's pretty good, actually. That's 4 trips for construction. Or no, 5. Yeah, 3 for oak, 2 for regular planks. I don't really waste any slots while doing that. Ended up bringing the Ring of Returning so I could fit 1 extra inventory slot there. All right, let's finish this summary. I think only other thing to mention here is random events, which we are close to another one. Let's get it next cycle. That should be fine. I think that's everything. Let's roll a new chunk. Okay, starting out reminding you of the full chunk map. Down here in the Isle of Souls is what we rolled last time. I kind of don't want this chunk because it has Crimson Swifts in it, which means that I wouldn't be able to re-roll immediately. But I can't actually catch Crimson Swifts yet because I don't have access to a bird snare. There's a couple places I can get a bird snare. One of them is on this island, but a bit of walking to do that. I would like this chunk. Lots of rocks to mine, one of which is mithril, which I can't do yet, so I wouldn't be able to re-roll, but adding more ore per cycle would always be a good thing, despite there being 82 trees there. I've updated, since previously one of my heart chunks was the Isle of Souls, and we got it. Now it's North Draenor, because I can immediately boost to do the agility course, which would be incredible. So really, really hope that we get this one. That would make me very happy. Still think that Edgeville Ditch is the most impactful because it'll let us do a whole bunch of stuff with Runecraft, which would be very impactful for the account. And Paterdomus would be cool for Priest in Peril. But yeah, let's just go ahead and roll, see what happens. Come on, big money. Oh my god. I'm so fucking spooned. Wow. I had this one as like a bronze heart that, I kind of wanted, but honestly, I probably should have put it as like a gold crown because I was praying, now that I have 7 agility, I can boost to it with an agility potion. I really wanted this really badly, and I'm so happy that we got it now because now we can train agility every cycle from now on. For now, I'm just going to use that 1 agility potion that I have since I can only boost once per cycle. This is insanely lucky. I'm so happy. Finally rolled it too, because it's been an internal chunk for like 20 chunks. I think we got Draenor as number 9 and could have rolled it at any time. So let's see. Goblins, Highwaymen are new. I don't know if they have any interesting drops. I'll take a look at it. Could technically go a little bit further into the Portion of Interest quest. Lots of trees to chop. We might actually be able to finish this chunk next cycle. We can get into Draenor Manor now, which is kind of a good thing. There's more to do in there, but it also means there's way more trees that I have to chop, so it's a bonus and a negative. I might actually be able to do Vampire Slayer. Yeah. Okay, well, Vampire Slayer only actually starts in this chunk, and Portion of Interest technically starts in this chunk, then I might be able to clear this one. I'll have to come back and report on that. I don't get to skip the bonfire because there's still a lot of new stuff here that I couldn't do before. So yeah, very cool stuff. Next cycle, I'm going to go here and immediately do that agility course, get a nice 120 agility XP, which should get us right into level 8 agility, which will make it easier to do it in the future in case we fall off any obstacles or anything like that. Cool. Great chunk roll. Pretty pumped about this. Gonna get some more quests completed and get a decent amount of additional content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next episode. Bye, everybody.